The capital markets are positioning itself as an international financial hub, or rather Nairobi. The role that is being played is really from a technical level. All the financial sector regulators, the RBA, ourselves, the Central Bank of Kenya, as well as our Kenya Investment Authority, which is also here represented, all in our different capacities, we are all working together. For example, in our area, we're looking at making our stock exchange really world-class. So there has been a lot of progress from a policy perspective on demutualizing the stock exchange, which really introduces greater governance and also allows diversification of ownership, and that obviously would portend different owners coming in and obviously allowing investment in infrastructure at the exchange, obviously the management of the same. So that is something we looked at from the London Stock Exchange, and it did demutualize some time back. The other area is again looking at the creation of the small medium enterprise segment within the Nairobi Stock Exchange, which again would create opportunities for our small medium enterprises. The other area is, again, Nairobi is really the hub. In as much as we have all these private equity companies that are based out of Africa, in East Africa, Nairobi is really the hub of the private equity companies. As I said, the African Venture Capital Association actually opted, rather than having its headquarters in South Africa, it was actually now opted to have that headquarters in Kenya. We have a chairman, we have a board, and they are driving private equity policy all over, including hosting conferences even here. With that, we have engaged the private equity investors, and we actually came up with a study on impact investment last year. This was a study that was sponsored by Rockefeller Foundation and ourselves, and we actually looked at are there any companies in Kenya that could actually, impact investors could be interested in. So we actually have that report, it's on our website, and we identified certain companies that impact investors would be interested in. And these are companies that I would recommend that the delegation that is here would look at these companies, because all they need is financing, but they have great ideas. And these companies, the study that we undertook was not just based out of Kenya, it was actually looking at the East African region, because again, we have talked about us being part of the East African community. The other areas have been obviously the tax advantages that we're looking at in Kenya. I think we did share with you a list of all the tax advantages that we're looking at, because as we learned also in London, it could not have been a global hub without these tax advantages. So we've looked at it especially from a listing perspective, investor perspective, as well as even product perspective. So there's still obviously a lot that is going to be done through this International Financial Centers committee that we belong to, that will focus on how best to create that. But I think some of the other areas that are being looked at, we now have a new Attorney General. There's a draft companies bill, which I believe will be fast-tracked, as well as a limited partnership bill. These have been set in the standards, in international standards, and again, this will really catapult. We are still using the Companies Act, I believe it's really, I think, is it the 1948? So there's a lot of scope in us actually changing this, and this is actually something I expect will be spearheaded by the new Attorney General, either by this year or by next year.